If you're a developer, what should you actually be doing right now to make sure your career is not just safe but thriving over the next few years? Well, instead of just giving you our opinion, we're going to use hard data to find the answer. So let's dive into this breakdown of Manfred's huge tech career report, which analyzes what is really going on in the tech job market. Okay, first things first. That wild golden era we saw from 2020 to 2022, the one with aggressive salary hikes, nonstop hiring, and this whole growth at any cost mentality, yeah, that's officially over. The party's done. But what's taking its place is actually way more interesting. And just so we're all on the same page, none of this is based on a gut feeling or some random hot take you saw online. This entire analysis is grounded in real data from over 112,000 tech profiles. These are the facts on the ground. So if the party's over, what's the new theme? Well, the industry has really shifted its focus away from that breakneck growth to a new priority, one that's a whole lot more demanding. Here it is. The new mantra is all about profitability, not just hype. It's no longer enough to just grow the user base. It's about growing the bottom line. And that changes everything for developers. The game is way more competitive, and the very definition of a valuable developer is changing right under our feet. So what does this actually mean for you, day to day? Well, the data shows there are just plain fewer open positions and way more competition for each one. For junior developers, those starting salaries have dipped, and they're rarely breaking that €30,000 mark. And for everybody, companies now demand proof that you have a real business impact. Seriously, it is no longer enough to just close tickets. You have to show that you are a multiplier for your entire team. A new market reality means a whole new set of rules. So let's take a look at the skills that are now absolutely essential for not just surviving, but actually thriving in this new environment. Of course, your tech stack is crucial. We all know that. But the report highlights something fascinating. It's not just about the code you can write. So what are the non-technical skills that companies are desperately searching for right now? Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This slide shows this huge disconnect. Companies are practically shouting for developers who show proactivity, who are great at teamwork, who can manage themselves, and who have crystal clear communication skills. The data reveals this brutal gap between what employers need and what they're actually seeing. Mastering these skills, that is a massive competitive advantage. But even beyond these skills, the report points to one single factor that acts as a silent multiplier for your career and your salary. We are absolutely going to show you the stunning data on that in just a moment. Okay, let's get into the specifics. Which job titles are actually winning in this new market, and which ones are kind of losing momentum? The trends here are incredibly clear. And wow, this chart just lays it all out there. Over the last 3 years, demand for data and AI roles, we're talking data engineers, data scientists, has absolutely skyrocketed. Full stack and architecture roles, they're on a healthy upward trend too. But on the other side of the coin, roles in mobile and especially manual QA are seeing their demand fall off. The market is speaking, and it's speaking loud and clear. Now this is one of the most powerful signals in the entire report. For roles in data science and machine learning, companies are consistently offering higher salaries than what the candidates themselves are even asking for. Think about that for a second. That is the clearest possible sign of a massive talent shortage. There just aren't enough skilled people to fill these high-demand roles. So it's pretty obvious that AI is the engine driving most of this change. But here's the thing. While it's definitely causing some disruption, it also represents the single biggest opportunity for developers who know how to adapt and really leverage it correctly. Now, check this out. The data shows that while basically everyone is using AI, like 9 out of 10 developers, a massive 84% either have no formal training or are just kind of teaching themselves as they go. Only a tiny fraction have any structured, formal training. And that gap between mass adoption and deep professional skill, that is your window of opportunity. This is really where the market is splitting developers into two distinct camps. On one side, you have people who use AI like a supercharged search engine, for quick lookups and grabbing code snippets. But on the other side, you have those who integrate AI as a production system, people who are designing entire flows, orchestrating agents, and automating complex processes. The report couldn't be clearer. The market is going to heavily reward that second type of developer. Okay, so we've looked at a ton of data, The party's over, the rules have changed, we know which rules are on the rise. So, what do you actually do with all this? Let's build a clear, data-driven roadmap for your career right now. The data points to a really clear 4-step path. First, you have to master your core stack. Be brilliant at your fundamentals, whether that's JavaScript or Python. Second, go deep on AI. Use it as a production system, not just a toy. Third, relentlessly work on those critical soft skills we talked about. And fourth, you have to master that silent multiplier. So, what is that mysterious silent multiplier we've been teasing? It's English. The report is absolutely unequivocal about this. Your fluency in English has a direct and, frankly, an enormous impact on your salary and your access to the best jobs at the best companies. Let's just look at the numbers. This data is just stunning. For a senior developer with more than 10 years of experience, the salary difference between having no English and having fluent English is over 32,000 euros a year. Let that sink in for a second. We're talking about the same role, the same experience level. It is the single biggest salary lever you can possibly pull. It unlocks better projects, global teams, everything. So after looking at all this data, the huge shift to profitability, the soaring demand for AI and soft skills, and the undeniable impact of English, the final question for you is a simple one. The market has literally shown you its hand. So are you going to build the career of the future, or are you going to get left behind with the career of the past? The choice is yours.